All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ricky, for agreeing to meet with me today. I really appreciate it. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good, thank you. Before we get started, I'm sure that if somebody is browsing through my channel, they know who you are. But if you don't mind, just in case, introducing yourself and just, what you do and where you're from.
Yeah, sure. I'm from Gulf Shores, Alabama. Grew up here. Been selling real estate for 18 years. Got in when I was 20. So it's been kind of a roller coaster, but everybody kind of has their own little story there. And for the last 3 years, I've been writing, speaking, coaching. I coach for free, and I'm still selling 100 properties a year. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Awesome. And so you started your real estate career, you said 20 years ago, kind of on and off. I remember in some of your early videos, you were a roofer. Is that correct? Or your dad was a roofer?
Yeah, dad owned a roofing business, and I roofed with him while I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for a long time, about 5 years I did that. And then I got into real estate. And then, when the market crashed and I lost everything, I went back to roofing. So did a lot of roofing.
Gotcha. And so when you were a kid and so your dad owned this business since you were a small boy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you always kind of think or dream that you were going to work with him in his business? Was that your goals? And
Not really. Not really. It was just kind of like the best opportunity available. So it's like, oh, your dad owns a roofing business. So, there's a job right there. So I'm kind of like, I'm always going to take the very best opportunity that's available at the time. So that's what it was at the moment. And did that for a while. And then I found a better opportunity. So, what I do is I never quit what I'm doing, but I'm always looking for something better. That's why when I started selling 100 properties in 2014, I was still looking for something better, and that's when I wrote the 2 books and started YouTube and coaching and writing and speaking. So I'm always looking for something a little better, something more efficient, something more productive than what I'm doing. That's the name of the game, is to always be looking for something to improve yourself and to become more, efficient and productive. So that was the most efficient thing at the time. And, so that's what I did.
So, since we're talking about always improving yourself and making things better, when you are setting goals, are you setting goals for yourself, or are you setting actions for yourself? Like, do you believe that you need to set a specific goal? Like, I want to sell $100 million in real estate in a year. Or do you need to set actions of, this is how many cold calls I need to make a year?
Yeah. I think it's okay to set goals, for 1 year or what you're going to do this year or next year. But, I don't really know. It's hard for me to gauge how I'm going to come out after 1 year. That's kind of hard to control. I have a really good idea of where I'm going to be in 5 years, so the way I look at it is every action that I take now, I'm looking at what that action is going to do for me results wise over the next 5 years. So every action I take is more of a long-term decision. And through that, you reap so many short-term benefits. You know what I mean? Like, when you're thinking long-term and you're hustling because you're trying to do these really big things in 5 years, you just can't help but or as a byproduct of doing that, close so many deals or have so much, great results in the short term. But yeah, I think it's good to make a 1 year goal or something, and something to look at and think about. But I think at the same time, you should be more focused on your 5 year goal. And your 5 year goal is going to help you get to your 1 year goal. Like, for example, the pandemic, nobody could control that this was going to happen and transactions were going to go down 20%. I still feel like I'll hit the same things I've been hitting every year, even with this. But, a lot of people don't think the way I do, so it affects their business negatively. And so you can't control those little outside factors, so it's kind of hard to gauge what's going to happen within a year. So I gauge more on, okay, I'm going to give it everything I got today. I'm going to do everything I can do to just be as productive as I can be. And whatever happens on the other side, is what happens.
Right. And that's how you, I think, would prevent this failure and burnout of not achieving your goal for those that are very goal driven. If I put a number on my vision board, it's going to crush me if I don't meet that number. So I'm trying to, for me, find that balance of, okay, if I put in this amount of effort, I know I can control that. And I know I can do that each day. But what the result is going to be, of course, is going to be determined by the action that I'm putting into it.
Yeah, exactly. You can't control the result. You can only control what you do day to day. So that's all I care about. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely. Now, you mentioned the pandemic, and I was going to actually ask you about that. So since we've already kind of segued into that, a lot of agents have stopped doing their thing, stopped working, stopped making calls. How have you been handling it? How are you shifting with what's going on?
There's really nothing to shift. I mean, it's the craziest thing in the world that I hear of people are not working anymore. NAR just came out with their data for pending deals in March, and they were down 20%, right? And February was already down a little bit year over year because of lack of inventory. So that 20% compared to last March is not really 20% because it was going to be down a little bit anyway. So we're only talking, I don't know, less than 20%, let's say. Well, there's still 80%, right? There's still 80%, which is massive. There's massive amounts of deals happening right now. If you look at your MLS, there's pending closings and new listings happening every single day. Absolutely. Right? By the truckloads.
Yep.
And it's just insane to me that people are just sitting on the sidelines right now. I don't understand it for the life of me, to be honest with you. So, no, the market is really strong, and it's going to pick up big time as we open the economy back up, as we go through the stages. Like here in Alabama, we're opening up certain things. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, we're opening up the beaches, and we're opening up a few things. We still can't go inside restaurants. We can still do takeout orders, but they are opening the beaches, and they're opening up certain things. And that's going to be effective till May 15th. So about 2 weeks, and then we'll go to the next stage, and they'll probably get it to where I'm guessing May 15th, we'll probably be able to go eat at a restaurant at that time. Maybe not. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
But as we go through the stages, the real estate market is just going to open up more and more and more. There's a lot of demand, and people haven't been buying or selling anything in a couple months. So they're dying to get out there and do stuff. And inventory is really low. Interest rates are really low. I mean, it's just ridiculous to me to even hear of agents not taking action to try to buy and help people buy and sell properties right now. People are buying and selling properties left and right.
Absolutely. Well, I think what I hear a lot in my town is agents that are used to going into a building, like a KW or a Remax, and they're used to reporting to their location. And since they've closed, they feel like, okay, it's like they don't know what to do with themselves. As an EXP agent, I'm been working from home. So for me, I haven't really missed a beat. And you made the switch to EXP right around the same time of everything going on with this coronavirus. But did you find yourself when you were with Remax working from home, or did you, your office, you have an office, correct, with your assistants and everything?
Yeah, I bought an office building. We haven't been able to use it yet because all this happened about the same time. But I don't care if I'm at home or at an office, or, I mean, what difference would that make as far as, doing your job?
Right.
I mean, I can't relate to people who don't work.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. I mean, there's certain circumstances. I mean, for example, if I were to have gotten sick, if I were to have caught the coronavirus or regular flu or something, okay, I can understand I'm sick, I can't work, but for these people that are able to work, and they're just assuming that, I was on another podcast, and the guy asked me, what do I say to agents who are telling me that it's just dead? And the response is based on what data?
Mhm.
You know, all the data I see is strong data.
Mhm.
You know, pending deals are still 80% during a pandemic, or during the scariest moment of a pandemic. There's still 80% of the same amount of people from last year. And that was going to be down, or that was going to be down this year anyway.
Wow.
80% of the people are still writing offers during this. You know, that is strong, super strong.
That's absolutely
So,
huge.
yeah,
What are your thoughts about, I hear a lot of buzz going on about, short sales coming down the pipeline and being a thing of the future if folks,
great, great. Not number one, not going to happen.
you don't agree?
And I don't think so, but it, to me, if it happens, great. I don't know why that would matter.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
like what?
it doesn't matter because either way, as an agent, you're just going to kind of shift your business and target with what you
You
need
don't even shift your business. That's the
to.
thing. You don't even shift your business. It's
Just keep making
you
your
do the
calls.
exact same thing. It's real simple. I
Hmm.
mean, you just talk to property owners, see what you can do to help them with whatever's going on, and you know, create a friend and build your database, build a personal brand, and close deals. It's not super complicated. People, you know, think you have to stick and move with the market. You don't. It's the same thing. It's the same thing now as it was before this pandemic. It's going to be the same thing after. It'll be the same thing if foreclosures and short sales come along.
Hmm.
I mean, what are these agents saying about short sales?
Well, from what I'm hearing, mostly from lenders actually, is that because of the forbearance with folks getting letters in the mail from their bank saying, yeah, don't pay, you don't have to make your payment for 4 months. And then
Uh-huh.
all of a sudden, what's going to happen is the banks are going to expect 4 months of payment from them. And they're not
Yeah.
super clear. I've seen the letters. They're not super clear. The banks are pretty vague about it. And so those folks may be in those situations in now 4 to 6 months where they don't have that lump sum to pay it back.
That's
And
fine. That's fine. So what's the problem again?
not a problem. It's not a problem
Okay.
at all. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No,
Okay.
I'm just saying, I just want to get your thoughts on it if you thought it was going to happen.
Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will on a smaller level than they think. Maybe it explodes. Hey, you know, I mean, if the market gets that bad, that means prices are coming down. I just don't see it. I mean,
No. Yep.
I just don't see it. I just don't see it. But hey, if it does, great. I'll be a short selling machine and I'll have a lot of happy clients because I'll be getting both sides of those deals. I
Right.
mean, so, I mean, that would be a great market to be in, just as all markets are great markets to be in. I mean, right now, you look at the pending deals right now, you know, everyone should go in their MLS and pull up pending deals, you know, and look at all those deals that went under contract during the pandemic, you know, and it should really open your eyes up to the fact that you got zero excuses. All the stuff you've been talking about, you know, talking about the other agents or everything they've been talking about, you know, not wanting to make calls right now or not wanting to do this or that. I mean, they should really feel foolish when they look at that data.
Mhm. How have you shifted your cold calling script? I use your script all the time, every day.
It's the
Just
same
asking
thing, you
people what I
know, the
can do.
script is like a template. You know, it's a template. You can interchange things out of it, but it's the same template. It's the same tempo. It's the same nuances. It's the same, you know, tonality. It's so, you know, I just kind of geared it for the situation. You always mold it into the situation. You know, as we come out of this, it'll change, and then, you know, next year it'll be different based on what's happening. But you know, I just go into it and ask them how they're doing, and say, "Look, I've been working out of my house for 3 weeks or a month or whatever. This is crazy, isn't it?
Hmm.
Cool. Look, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but we're still selling a ton of properties. The market's not dead. I didn't know if there's something I could do to help you.
Perfect.
You know, boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, can you tell me a little bit about your switch to EXP? You've made a switch the end of March, was it? March 15th?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
No, I think it's towards the beginning of March.
Okay.
No, it's there's a lot of things, you know. For one, I mean, when you really look at it, last year they were not that impressive. They were really small, and the recruiting was incredibly annoying.
Yeah.
And really a big turnoff,
Mhm.
right? And then you look at them this year and what they've went through over the last year, going from 12,000 to 28,000 agents. So now it's like they're still kind of small, but they're actually kind of large.
Mhm.
And you see how they handled that growth was very impressive, which tells you that they have a platform that can really scale. And you don't see hardly any of the annoying recruiting stuff going on anymore, which means they kind of changed up their game plan, and they're training their agents how to recruit the right way. And you still see a little bit of it, but they're a real company. They're for real, and they're going to take over. They'll be the top, the largest real estate company in the world before long. And the business model for agents is the best out there.
Right.
I mean, I'm saving 70 grand a year
Oh, wow.
on Remax fees, and I own part of EXP more and more and more every year. That's if I don't recruit a single agent. I win right there. So it's a really good model for even if you don't want to recruit,
Mhm.
and then if you want to recruit, it is the best, because the moment you become licensed with EXP, it's the same thing as you owning your own brokerage. It's the equivalent. You can literally right then go out and hire agents all over the country, Canada, UK, Australia, with basically zero liability and no cost. You can expand for so little money and so little liability. It's ridiculous. So
And
the more and more you look at it. Hmm?
you're creating passive income as well for down the road. You
Yeah.
know, I've noticed that EXP, you mentioned the recruiting and how annoying it's been. And for me, I've come to realize that people have come to me about wanting to join EXP versus me really having to go to them, because I think the name ends up speaking for itself. It's
Same here. Same here. Same here. People have come to me, and that's why I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to go out there and you know um, people are going to have to come to me if they want to join. So yeah, it's just an incredible opportunity, and it's just something that once you realize how real it is and how big they're getting, it's
Mhm.
just something that's kind of a perfect time, because once they go really huge, then they'll be really huge. But right now they're still semi-small,
Right.
so there's a lot of room to go. It's a big opportunity.
Yeah. Do you compare it at all to Keller Williams? I was at all in your mind. Do you compare EXP to a Keller Williams?
I don't. I
You know?
don't. I think it's two completely different things. I mean,
Yeah.
it's two completely different business models. It's it's cloud based versus
Right.
brick and mortar. It's a tech company versus a non-tech company that's trying to be a tech company. It's kind of like watching grandpa dance. It's kind of like you
Yeah.
don't have it anymore.
Right.
So no, they're super impressive. I think they're the way of the future, and I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. How did Remax take it when you gave them the news that you were leaving?
Well, me and my broker were really close. It was kind of like a fatherly type relationship, and we're still very close and always will be. And I can always go back there. Doors always open. They gave I had 200,000 worth of pending commissions. He gave all that to me. He gave me all my listings. So my broker is the best guy in the world. And
Mm,
that was one thing that really kind of held me to Remax so long,
mm.
was him. The loyalty there and everything he did for me. So, that was a hard thing. But as far as corporate's concerned, I didn't really hear from them at all. And they're really the ones that kind of were the reason why I decided I wanted to leave anyway.
Why was
And
why was that?
well, they're you know they're more I don't I'm more of an agent that wants to help agents, you know
Hmm.
and they're not really on the same page with that.
Mm.
No, I really want to help the industry. I want to do big things for the industry. And I don't feel like they're on the same page with me on that. They definitely didn't want to utilize me, what I'm building, what I'm doing.
Hmm.
So I felt unappreciated. And there were several other things too, but basically the bottom line is I didn't feel like I was appreciated for all I was doing for them, because I was really pushing them really hard.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's hundreds of agents all over US and Canada that told me to my face that they went to Remax because of me.
Hmm.
So I don't think that they really understood the full situation of what was going on with me and what I was doing in the industry. I mean, they had some kind of idea. They had to.
Hmm.
I mean, I talked to all the big guys. They knew who I was and they saw what I was doing. So I didn't really understand it, but I was ready to make a move. Once I realized that our values weren't really lining up.
Yeah. You definitely, that's important. You, what was my other question I was going to ask you? It was about EXP while you were talking. I can't remember. Uh, okay. So another question I had, your Zero to Diamonds program,
Yeah.
you do that completely free,
Mm-hmm.
right? What made you decide to start a completely free coaching program?
Well, I didn't start it. I started out charging,
Oh,
you
did you?
know. Yeah, I started out charging. I had about 200 people and I was making about 10 grand a month. And one day I woke up and I just shut it all down and said, "Guys, I'm going to go free with all this." So it was just like again, like I was talking about from the beginning, it was more of a long-term vision.
Mhm.
I knew that going free was going to create where I am now. I mean, now I've got a real opportunity to do something in the industry. Whereas if I would have kept charging, I wouldn't be where I am now. You know, it's kind of a visionary thing. I just knew that was the right move, and
Mhm.
it proved to be right. I'm doing really well with the coaching business, and I have a big following and a huge network of agents, and it's helping a lot of people. That was the main thing, is I knew by charging I was turning a lot of people away. A lot of people were just turning around and walking away when they realized I was trying to charge, and I wanted those people in.
Right. But
So
do you think that sometimes when people have to pay for something, it holds a little bit more value in their mind because they're actually,
no, no, especially when they pay for something and then they get in there and then they realize this is bullshit.
well,
You
yeah,
know?
right. If you're not,
And that's the case. That's the case with a lot of real estate coaches and life coaches and business coaches. You pay for something, and then you realize once you get what you pay for that it wasn't anything special. And
right.
so that's so you get to where you're like, no, no, not at all. If somebody told me, if an agent that sells 100 properties a year told me everything he knows for free, that would be valuable to me. I wouldn't have to pay for it to
Mm,
appreciate that or value that, you know?
right.
Um, so, I mean, you can just go ask, one of the thousands of agents that are crushing it, using the strategies that I share,
Hmm.
and ask them, you know, because there's thousands of those guys out there getting listings every week, closing deals every week, strictly off of using the zero to diamond system.
Right. Well, I discovered your cold calling program, I would say in August when I joined
Mm,
EXP. And it was when even though you weren't with EXP, your name was mentioned in one of the trainings. And
yeah.
they said, "Oh, you need to check out Zero to Diamonds." So I went on there and I checked it out. And I started cold calling in October. And in December is when things started happening. And I actually got 6 listings from December to February, just in those 2 months from cold calling. 6 listings all at the same time. So it was pretty cool. It was definitely proved to me that that works.
It works the best. And two, what you have to understand is zero to diamond is not, it's like cold calling, I think is the most effective thing.
Hmm.
But really zero to diamond is based around communicating with people
Hmm.
and, you know, making them feel comfortable with you, regardless of where you get the lead from. You know, you have to understand how to verbally communicate with people. And that's really more the baseline of what it's about. The cold calling is just what I think is the most efficient thing to do, you
Right.
know? So,
For your lead generation.
right.
Have you ever paid for leads before?
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
What kinds? Like Zillow or
All of them.
all of them?
I've tried everything. Yeah. Realtor.com, Zillow, Facebook.
Was that before cold calling?
No, no, I started out cold calling. I mean, Zillow
Okay.
wasn't even around. Zillow wasn't even around when I started selling real estate. There was no
Oh
Facebook,
wow.
Zillow. There was none of that stuff when I started selling real estate. So
Oh
I
wow.
couldn't, I couldn't have tried it. They weren't. There was no such thing as buying leads when I first got in real estate.
True. 20 years ago, we didn't even have the internet very much.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So
So
when you did decide to start paying for leads, what made you give it a shot? Do you just want to see what results you'd get as comparison to what you've already been doing?
of course,
Yeah.
somebody says, "Hey, here's some leads," you know, and you know they're X amount of dollars, and you know they're buying X amount of dollars worth of properties, and you know, of course I'm going to try it. You know, I love trying things. You know, I'm going to try everything. You know, that's how I am. You can notice that on my social medias. I mean, I have every single platform. I'm on every platform, and I try a lot of different things, and so I'm always going to try stuff. So yeah, yeah. When
What
they
would
came out with that,
what would you be your advice for someone who wants to try it? Do you tell them try it, see for yourself, or do you stick to, you know what, I've done it, I've been there, take my advice, cold calling is the way to go?
yeah, I would never buy a lead. Here's the thing with you know circle prospecting. You it's 2 cents for a contact. Okay, 2 cents. Okay, that's the exact property owner you want to talk to. They own the exact property you want to sell. That's your best. That's in your perfect world. That's your best client. That's your favorite situation. So if you can get the very best, your favorite, like if you were to pick any client in the world, that would be the one. And you can get that client for 2 cents. Why would you do anything else?
Absolutely. That's
And
true.
it's unlimited. You can't call every single. If you want to sell $1 million houses and you're in a you know a place where you know that's the average price, there's an unlimited amount of people you can call.
Hmm.
Right? You can't call everybody. So and it's just 2 cents. How many can you call per day? So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do anything except for that. There's nothing that's cheaper. There's nothing more efficient. It's the most powerful lead there is.
Hmm.
I mean,
Have you ever gone door knocking in your career?
no, never
No,
door
you've
knock.
never? Really? Why?
Never had to.
Did
It's the
you have?
same thing. It's the same thing as cold calling. It's the same thing as picking out the subdivision you want to sell in and calling them. It's the same thing.
Hmm.
So if I can do that from my office and just call person after person after person, why would I go knock on? Why would I spend the time to drive to the subdivision,
Hmm.
knock on the door, walk to the next house, knock on that door when I
Right.
can just sit in my office and just call them all day?
True. I agree with you. I tried it though because I wanted to see what it was like, and I felt like the results were people are a little bit kinder in your face than they are over the phone. They're a little bit more inclined to hear you
That's
out.
because you're more comfortable in their face.
Hmm.
See, it's not that door knocking is better or that they feel more comfortable because they're in your face. It's because you're more comfortable in that environment than being on the phone. If you were as comfortable on the phone as you are in their face, then you get the same results.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what advice, just to end it, what advice do you have for any agents going in there and wanting to start out there, listening to this for they're just getting their license? Do you have any powerful advice of what they should do?
I would say that if I had to do it all over again, I would do nothing but just sit in a room and call property owners all day. You know, I would circle prospect, I would call expireds, I would dabble with for sale by owners, but I really wouldn't do too much of that. My sphere of influence, I never called my sphere of influence when I first started. You know, I would have went down that road and just saw what I could do to help them. See, back when I first started, I was all about the money. I was just trying to get deals done. And so, you know, don't go after the deal, go after the relationship. Listen to your prospect, you know, see what they want to do and see what you can do to help them do it. You know, that's going to be your best path to success. And realize that you need about 20 people at all times that are thinking about buying or selling in the next 90 days to close one or two properties a week. So you could literally sell 100 properties your first year. I had a coaching student do this. You can literally sell 100 properties a year if you understand the concept behind finding 20 people that are thinking about doing something in the next 90 days. All right. If you have a list of people that are thinking about buying or selling in the next 90 days, a list of 20 people, then you're going to close one or two a week. There's no way around it. It's going to happen. The problem is that most agents come in the business, or even veteran agents, and they only have like two or three people that are thinking about doing something in the next 90 days. And that's where you go wrong. You know, those two or three people, you know, chances are really low that any of them are going to buy any or sell anything. One of them might, but then you only got one deal.
Right.
You know, you need 20 going on, 20 possibilities at all times. And if you can get a whiteboard and
Hmm.
just write down the names of those 20 people, and if somebody buys property, puts it under contract, take them off the list. If somebody lists their property, take them off the list. If somebody uses another agent, take them off the list. If somebody decides to hold off, take them off the list and replace those people with more leads. So you got to have a constant flow of new leads coming in. You know, that's why you need to make the phone calls. And then you need this list of 20 people that might do something. You could sell 100 properties your first year. I had one guy do it. I'd love to see a second person do it.
20 people on my list. I'm looking at my board right now. I'm close. I have about 12 on there. So
Okay.
I need to have 20 people on my board.
20 or more. So you need to
20.
add 8 to it, but then you need to find more than 8, because as you're finding those 8, some of those that are on there now are going to drop off. They're either going to buy or decide to hold off or whatever.
Mhm.
And then out of the 8 people you find to get it to 20, some of those are going to decide to actually go through with the deal. So you're actually going to have to find more than 8 to get it to 20, because some of those are going to fall off by the time you get there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you're going to have a constant flow of new people coming in. And for the people that you talk to that don't want to do anything, create the relationship with them.
Mhm.
Like, create the relationship for the future with. That's where the magic happens.
Mhm.
Is when you take the people that don't want to buy or sell now and say they're never going to buy or sell, or they want to do something in 2 or 3 years. When you create the relationship with those people for the future and start to build that brand with them, you know, that's where the magic will start happening, you know, after a couple of years. But you can sell 100 properties in your first year.
That's a huge goal. That goal makes my heart race. That makes my heart race. I
I
have
mean, I mean, I've already had one guy do it, so nobody can tell me that you can't do it. No.
is that one guy, one of my favorite interviews that you've done is with Cratavius?
Yeah, Quintavious.
Quintavious. Is that the guy you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an awesome. I mean, I love the 4-point system. I
Yeah.
I wrote that. I had it on my vision board for a while. I just took it off only because I just shifted things around. But I had that 4-point system on my vision board because I thought it was absolutely ingenious.
Yeah, this is kind of like the 4-point system, you know, like if you use the 4-point system in conjunction with finding 20 people,
Hmm.
you know, that might want to do something soon, I mean, then you really got something.
Okay. All right. Well, great. That was really awesome information. I appreciate it, and I appreciate
Yeah,
you taking the time out to talk that out with me.
sure.
All right. Cool. Let me just stop this.